You have to draw a line in the sand. You have to build some boundaries.
Maybe I'm not the right one for it.
I'm to a point where I don't want to try anymore.
You are hurting yourself. This is something we see regularly.
What is someone in your life fighting for? And how can you be there for them?
Hello, this is Dr. Joe Beam. Welcome to Marriage Helper Live. This is a program where I do my best to answer the questions that you ask about relationships, and it can be about any kind of relationships. But most of the questions we get tend to be about marriages in crisis. There's a reason for that. It's because of the fact that at Marriage Helper, we actually have a program that deals specifically with marriages in crisis, and we've had a tremendous amount of success in helping people in seemingly unsalvageable and impossible marriages actually be able to put that back together. And that's when we get so many calls about marriage crisis. Obviously, we cannot guarantee that what we teach, what we share, what we do for you is definitely, without doubt, going to work. But we tell people if anything works, this will. No, I'm not trying to downplay it. I'm not trying to make you think that what we have is not valuable. As a matter of fact, what we have is extremely and exceptional value. For people who come through our intensive 3-day workshop, the success record over 20 years now has been 3 out of 4 couples actually make it, turn the marriages around, and are able to put the things back together and make a good marriage, and we're happy about that. That number is significant for many reasons, one of which is the fact that most of the time, not always by any means, but most of the time, we have couples attending that workshop where one does not want the marriage to make it. He or she wants out for whatever reason. Maybe they have something else they're headed toward. I need to be out of the marriage with you so I can be in this other situation with this other person or lifestyle or whatever it might be. And even with that, with 3 out of 4 couples, the majority of couples coming to our workshop or attending our workshop where one definitely wants out of the marriage, having a 3 out of 4 success rate is actually pretty doggone phenomenal. We are happy about that. But even then, we will not claim that if you come to our workshop that we guarantee it's going to save your marriage. Only charlatans and frauds do that. And they're all over the internet. They are all over the internet. They'll make promises. Think about it this way. If what they promise seems impossible, it probably is. Like the one I ran across where the guy said, not only, if you just say the words I tell you to say, do the things I tell you to do, not only will your spouse come begging back, asking for forgiveness, but will want to have sex with you every day for the rest of your life. Right. You look at that and go, really? And then if you paid him, I forget what it was maybe $99, maybe it was $3.99, I don't know what it was, but you paid him that much money and he would guarantee those things, and I'll tell you right now, that ain't gonna happen. It takes work to put a marriage back together. And if you do the right things, it can happen. It really can happen, and we see it all the time, but we're not going to lie to you. We're going to tell you the truth. Now, in just a moment or two, I'm going to start taking your phone calls. If you'd like to call 657-383-0812. That's 657-383-0812. Now, you can call that number and just listen, but if you wish to speak to me, then what you do is when that is answered, you press the number 1. So as soon as you hear that answer, press that number 1. It puts you in the queue, and our call screener will talk to you, and hopefully that gets you in a situation where you and I can talk to each other. One other thing I want to mention, we just did something this past weekend that we were kind of forced into by this quarantine situation that we're in America, but it turned out to be extremely effective, and we would not have known that had not the virus forced us into it. Now, obviously, I'm not pro-virus. I wish and pray that it would go away. But what we did was we did our intensive 3-day workshop, but rather than doing it in person, as we have been doing it for 21 years, we did it online. And we had 12 couples. We typically in our in-person will have up to 28 couples on this one. On this one, our first one to do it online, I limited it to 12 couples, and we spent all day Friday and Saturday and a good portion of the day on Sunday together, and it worked extremely well. Therefore, if you're thinking, well, we really want help for our marriage, but obviously we can't come to Middle Tennessee because of all that's happening in the world right now, we understand that. But if you call our number in our office, and I'll be giving that to you in just a little while, if you call the number at our office, or if you just want to go to our website, marriagehelper.com, that's marriagehelper, marriagehelper.com, and then line up one of our client representatives to help you understand what we do and how we do it. If you've already been working with one of our client representatives, I should say, then be sure to call him or her. Say, hey, I just heard Dr. Bean say that you guys are now doing an online version, and it works really, really well. And they'll help line you up to get in one of those if you wish. And if you don't have a client representative, then you do that or call 615-472-1161. That's 615-472-1161. We also have a toll-free number, but I don't have it in front of me, and I don't trust my memory anymore. So 615-472-1161. And if you need that toll-free number, you can find it on the website at Marriage Helper. That's marriagehelper.com. And if you'd like to get in one of our online versions of the workshop, so you can do right there from your own living room or dining room, wherever you want to do it from, contact us right away about that. All right, let's start going to the calls here. We're first going to go to the great state of Texas. And in the great state of Texas, we're going to talk to Clifton. Hi, Clifton. How are you today?
Hey, doctor. How are you?
I'm actually doing quite well, my friend. How may I help you?
Hi. Well, first of all, I appreciate you taking my call. I have been married for 10 years and are just going on 10 years here. And, my wife and I are pretty textbook, anxious-avoidant kind of trap situation, so I've learned. And we both kind of come from a background of some child abuse and things like that. And this past January, she asked me for a separation, and of course, it kind of pulled the rug out from under me.
If I may ask, did she give a reason? Did she give a reason that she wanted a separation?
Yeah, she said that she couldn't picture herself having sex with me anymore. And,
okay. Had you recently been having sex, or had that stopped for some time?
No, we had been recently having sex.
Okay. And you didn't see any negatives during that? I mean, while you were making love to each other, she was not reacting badly before that?
Not particularly, no. No, I wouldn't have said so at the time.
Okay, so when she comes up and says, I want a separation, and she says, because I can't picture making love to you anymore, you just said that pulled the rug out from under you. Was there anything else going on? Anything at all?
We had been having a pretty rough year. We were kind of in our heads a lot, talking about problems. Just we were starting to bicker more. There was a lot of conversations, kind of from my end to her about sort of some things I've needed, or that I felt like I was needing. And sexual frequency was a topic of discussion in that, and I think over time it kind of compounded to her to the point to where she felt as though it were an obligation, and it stopped being something that was.
So how often would those kind of conversations take place, Clifton? How often would you be, for lack of a better word, how often would you be pressuring her that you had a stronger sexual need? Did that happen a lot?
Honestly, probably like once every 6 weeks or so.
So not that often. And were you pressuring her to actually have sex with you when she didn't feel like it or didn't want to?
No.
Okay. But she felt, if I'm hearing what you're saying, she felt, or at least she said she felt, put upon or pressured sexually. Is that correct?
Right. Correct. Yes, we've been seeing like an EFT, an emotionally focused therapy counselor, and it kind of came out in those sessions that because of her history of abuse and the way that she was disciplined as a child, that anytime she feels inadequate, it feels as an attack or a criticism or something. And so it just over the course of the last year, when I would just bring up the conversations, you could actually physically see her start to kind of shut down a little bit and just feel very overwhelmed by the
Gotcha.
by the her
So the situation.
of depression.
So the situation you're describing here is not that she's, at least what I'm hearing, is that she's not leaving you because she's running towards something. She's leaving you because she wants to run away from something. Is that a correct analysis?
Correct. Yeah, she stated that she just wants to be alone, and that's the only way she feels that she can be at peace.
Okay. So what specific question do you have today? How may I help you, my
Well,
friend?
Well, with all that being said, there was actually something pretty miraculous that happened. I mean, I've been watching y'all's content for a while, and obviously this is the background of the situation. She went to see her mother a few days ago, and she came home and she said, "Hey, I want to let you know I talked to my mom, and my mom, I told her everything," which is not something that she would have normally ever done, nor would I have ever pictured her opening up to her mother that way. Obviously, they don't have an amazing relationship, but she said my mom actually made me feel better about things, and she just told me that I shouldn't give up. And so since then, after 3.5 months, she's actually started to open up more. We had a snuggle.
So how might I help you? What can I do for you, Clifton?
Yeah. Sorry to get to the point. She's still posting, some somewhat cryptic things, here and there, like on social media. Like, if this is the right thing to do, then how do I, then why does it feel wrong? Or, I'm unhappy, but this is the right thing to do. But her actions are speaking positively when we're together, and I think I'm kind of at a loss. I'm not real sure what to really do. I mean, I don't want to obviously have a conversation about the things that fight about something, but
right.
Then I see this and it kind of affects me emotionally, and it's a little discouraging. And so I just want to know what I can do to encourage her that she that she can be happy and that things will be better, but without making her feel without it becoming an uncomfortable conversation, and just how to move the ball forward.
Okay, I think I'm understanding the question there, and I think it's a very good question. It's unfortunate that she's seeking people's answers on social media, because the vast majority of those are going to be idiotic. And what I mean by that is that people, based on their own experiences and their own opinions, and they don't really have anything to base it on other than something that happened to them or something they heard about or some pop psychology they read. And so I strongly encourage people, don't post things on social media and ask people's opinions, because most of what you're going to hear, if you pay attention to it, it's going to lead you in the wrong direction. So, but that's neither here nor there. I understand that hurts your feelings. I do get that. Okay. And I'm glad that you're not bringing that up, because there's there's nothing advantageous to you or her, at least as far as I can see in what you've described so far, if you were to bring that up and discuss it with her. Now, assuring her that the future can be better is typically not done by assuring her that things can be better. What I mean by that is, if it comes across like you're trying to sell her something, trying to talk her into something, trying to convince her of something, it's probably going to work against you. And so rather than that, if she asks questions, if she say, well, do you think we can have a good future? Yeah, then definitely speak to that. Honey, I really believe we can. But then don't try to oversell it. Don't do anything that's going to come across as you pushing. So what do you do? In the interactions that you have with each other, and by the way, I'm glad that Mom helped her go in the right direction. That's good for you, Mama, whoever and wherever you are. And so, Clifton, my recommendation is that when you do have conversations with her, don't push. Listen. Try to understand. And I mean seriously understand. And so if she opens up even just a little, pay attention. And it's okay to ask questions for clarification, as long as they don't come across as being the third degree. So if she says something, it's not like, well, what do you mean by that? That's not a good way to do it, but say, well, okay, I'm trying to understand that. Can you help me understand a little more? So if it comes across as truly trying to seek more information, trying to understand. Because what's going on here, based on what I'm hearing from you, is that she has this deep inner problem because of what came out of her childhood. Somehow that's become associated with you. I get that, because of the fact that you're the man she's having sex with. And if you continue to be the safe place where she can talk to you, you don't come back at her trying to sell her, you don't come back trying to correct her, all you do is you try to understand her, then what in all likelihood that's going to do is create more opportunity for her to tell you even more. Now, you may not understand some of the things that she talks about because she's not you. You may not like some of the things she says because you may feel like it's somehow putting you down. But if you can somehow not react negatively, but really, really try to understand, and whatever you do, don't look at her and say, that doesn't make any sense to me. Don't do that. Or don't say, I don't see why you feel that way. Don't do that. That all negates, that invalidates. Instead, say, okay, I'm doing my best to understand. Okay, I understand. Or when you do, I understand. And if you do that, understanding that this is not going to happen overnight, Clifton, it's going to take a little while, but you can pull this off. And that's wrong with phraseology. You can help this marriage come back together if you become that really good listener, allowing her. Now, don't push it. Don't try to make her talk. But when she does, try to understand. And my guess is that's what's going to put you guys back together. Now, if that EFT therapist was doing whatever he or she is supposed to do, then they would have been helping you do that already. Or that you really just try to understand each other. And then we're going to go over here to Virginia and talk to Erica. How are you?
Oh, well, thank you so much for taking my call.
You're very welcome. How may I help you?
Okay, I'll try to keep this short. I know with everyone calling in. My husband, we've been together for 16 years. And in July of last year, he became kind of distant. One day, he threw his rings off. He actually broke a couple pieces, so there was no conversation for about a week. And then he said, I'm leaving. I'm going to my parents' house. And it definitely broke my heart, but I figured he was at his parents' house. Weeks later, I found out that he was actually seeing someone, and he said for me to move on. Come to find out, it was actually a transgender escort that he was talking to. His mom let him know, hey, this is not you, this is not how I raised you. He came back home in November, but he couldn't touch me, there was no intimacy, he didn't tell me he loved me anymore. And fast forward to January, come to find out, I found a lot of sex profiles for transgender escorts, and he was actually paying for sex with regular prostitutes for drugs. So he actually relapsed after 7 years of being sober, and we got him in a rehab the beginning of February. He's back. The counselor there at the rehab wanted him to go to his parents' house versus coming home, which is fine. So he's definitely there with his parents. His mom and father's watching him. They're highly supportive of our marriage. They want us together. And he's back at work. The problem that I'm having now is while he was in rehab, he started telling me again that he loved me. Now when he's home, he's saying he's confused. He's not sure of the direction for our marriage. He loves me unconditionally, but he's unsure about himself. So when I actually ask him questions about, are you still unsure? What about us? If I mention anything, he does not respond. He'll respond to anything else, but he won't respond to any questions or any statements I say about our relationship. So I want my marriage. I love my husband dearly. I just don't know what to do. I feel like giving up, but I want to fight for my marriage.
I understand. Actually, you sound like a very strong person to me, and you do know that the situation you're describing is an extremely difficult one. Because if he's being attracted to prostitutes, any kind of prostitutes, but including, of course, transgender prostitutes, then he's seeking something over which you have no control. What I mean is, it's not really an abandoning of you, because when a person goes out to do that kinds of things that in their own moral system would be wrong, okay, and particularly, like paying for sex and getting back into the drugs and again, none of that is predicated upon whatever you do or what you don't do. That's a problem he has within himself. Now, if some good counselor, some good program can help him overcome that, like, for example, Sexaholics Anonymous or a counselor that he's seeing, then that's wonderful. But this is something that you will not make better by all of a sudden becoming a better person than you are. And you sound like you're a pretty good person to me already. As a matter of fact, I'm very impressed with you. You sound intelligent. You're able to put things out, present them in very, very good terms. And so if you look at me and say, well, is my marriage over or not? Is it salvageable or not? Obviously, I don't know. Personally, I don't give up on helping a couple with their marriages until one of two things happens. One of them, God forbid, dies. Obviously, there's no way to work past that. Or if someone of them marries somebody else, like I divorced you and I've married some other person. In my opinion, up until then, there's always the possibility of salvaging a marriage. But here's the question for you, Erica. It has to be on what terms? If he's going to continue to struggle with this and not get the right kind of help for it, and he's going to go out and be having sex with prostitutes, if he's also coming home and occasionally at least having sex with you, then that puts you in physical jeopardy. I mean, no matter what kind of protection he uses out there, there's always a possibility he can get something and that he can give that something to you. And if you are willing to take that kind of a risk, and if you're willing to let him come home, then that's your choice, not mine, obviously. But it really boils down to this. Yes, all marriages are salvageable, at least potentially, although I can't speak to this specific situation. But at what cost? What are you willing to tolerate? What are you willing to put up with? And what I heard from you is if he gets the right kind of help, if he can straighten this thing out, then you love him and you'd love to put the marriage back together. And I think that's awesome. If it were I'd require some testing on that to make sure that he hasn't gotten some things. But that's up to you. That's just what I would do. And I hope and pray that that's what happens. I hope that he does get straightened out. But you are not the one who's going to help him straighten this out. You can be there for him. You can love him. You can listen. You can understand. But this particular issue is within him. And if the right kind of help can help him get there, then you can put this marriage back together. If the right kind of help doesn't help him get there, then Erica, you have to decide what risk are you going to take physiologically, like diseases. How much can you tolerate that doesn't destroy you emotionally? Well, he's off doing that again. He's off doing that other thing again. I mean, it has to be somewhere along the line. As much as I fight for marriages, and I'm all for that, somewhere along the line you have to have this consideration. What's it doing to me? What is it doing to me? Now, one of the things I intend to do this week, assuming that I can get it all worked out and finished in time, I'm developing a new course about what people typically refer to as boundaries. And this particular course, one of being an hour and a half or 2 hours of videos, of course, broken down into smaller segments, but an hour and a half to 2 hours of videos, along with a PDF that comes with it. And the PDF works you through a whole bunch of questions to help you think through what you can put up with and what you can't put up with in terms of you. Not my making those decisions for you, but helping you think through what you can put up with and what you can't put up with. And if so, then what boundaries, when we don't call them boundaries, we call them stops, S-T-O-P-S, safeguards that offer protection, or what cores, that would be a criteria, what continue our relationship essential. So stops are what things have to stop, and if they don't, here's the negative consequence. What things have to happen, that's the core. And if they don't happen, here's a negative consequence. Hopefully, I'll get that finished being developed this week. Hopefully. But it won't be ready for the market, but, for a couple more weeks, because then there has to be editing and all those kinds of things. So it's not just an hour and a half to 2 hours of videos when it all gets done, where I teach and teach and teach, but those PDFs where you work through those questions about you are going to be very powerful. And so, Erica, I suggest that you look for that when it comes out. But right now, please don't accept responsibility. Please don't accept responsibility for his behavior. You are not, okay? It's him. In this situation, there's nothing you can do to change it. I do hope he gets the right help. But you've got to make some decisions as to what you will do if he does and what you will do if he does not, okay? And then we're going to go over to Kansas and talk to Bill. Hi, Bill. How are you?
Good, you? Thanks for taking
how may I help you today? You're very welcome. How may I help you, my friend?
April 9th, actually, of last year. And our divorce was finalized at the end of the year. But with the COVID, she moved back in. Got her pretty scared. I live out in the country. So obviously I want to reconcile. But I guess I'm kind of worried about how to handle the situation. I'm trying to do all my smart contacts, trying to really listen like you talked to the first caller. But I guess, obviously, when this all blows over, she says that she's moving out, and I would like to stop that. And
how are things going while she's there? Are you guys having civil conversations?
Yeah, pretty decent. We have a 3-year-old, and so like I said, I live out in the county, so we got a pond, so we go out fishing. We do a lot of things together, just like we did before.
Okay, and in those things are going comfortably well?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, that's good. And so what you're worried about is, okay, you're getting a taste of what it could be like if you put it back together, but you're worried that whenever this quarantine thing stops, this virus goes away, that it'll just be like it was before. That's what I'm hearing you say, correct?
Correct.
Okay. My friend, you love your woman. You love that wife, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I can tell that you do. And the 3-year-old, typically, does the 3-year-old live with you or with her?
We do 50-50 every 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So it's every couple days, and she switches back and forth, and then every other weekend. So but every 2 weeks, it ends up being 50-50.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. And so when you were still living apart, were those interactions cordial?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. And is there anything else out there that she's wanting rather than you, like some kind of a lifestyle, another person, anything like that, as far as you know?
Yeah, there's a lifestyle. I pushed. I suffered from PTSD from my childhood, so I pushed, and then her lifestyle pulled her away. So.
And what lifestyle is that, if I may ask?
It's kind of difficult to explain. It's kind of her religious beliefs and whatnot. So
based on her religious beliefs, you don't fit into that system. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now,
someone
obviously,
called it maybe alternate. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. Well, if when a person comes to, that's part of what we call beliefs and values, and those things are pretty powerful and become part of a person's identity. I won't be able to help you with that part, but I can give some suggestions as to what to do while you're still together. It's a good thing that you're having cordial conversations. It's a good thing that you're being comfortable with each other, that you can go out in the back to the pond to fish and all those kinds of things. That's all good. I would recommend and suggest very strongly, my friend, that as you do this, now you don't sound like the kind of guy that's going to pressure her. I mean, you may be, but you certainly don't sound like that kind of guy. So I'd recommend this, that you do be very careful about not turning into kind of a push. Because right now what you want to do is not push but pull. And what pulls people? Well, generally it comes under the heading of 4 things: physical, intellectual, emotional, and spiritual. That's typically how it comes. And so you, being the best you can possibly be at your age and situation, physically, intellectually, meaning that you have things that you can talk about with her that actually are of interest to her. In other words, if you're a nuclear engineer and she knows nothing about it and doesn't want to talk about it, but that's what you talk about, that's not an intellectual connection. On the other hand, if she likes making pottery and you wind up learning enough about pottery, you can at least discuss it with her intelligently, then that actually is an intellectual attraction. Intellectual attraction has to do with the fact that we can understand each other. We can talk about things that are mutual to each other, whether each of us can comprehend something of it, as opposed to if I'm the nuclear engineer talking to my wife who has no interest in that, then we really aren't having an intellectual conversation where we're drawn to each other intellectually, because it's just distancing one from the other. So you find the areas you can talk about that are mutual, and sometimes that means you find something that's important to the spouse and you learn about it so you can talk about it to him or her. That actually intensifies intellectual attraction. Hey, you understand. You're getting it. Oh, you're getting the nuances of it. That's awesome. And then emotional attraction has to do with doing and saying things that evoke positive emotions in the other person. Notice that the key there is evoking positive emotions in the other person. And so if you find yourself doing anything evoking negative emotions, stop. Unless it's something you absolutely have to do, stop. And if you discover you're doing things that evoke positive emotions, then replicate those, keep doing them, but not too often. In other words, don't drive the other person crazy with it. And then spiritually, try to understand where she's coming from, and without sacrificing your own beliefs and values, because that's part of your identity that's important to you, as much as possible, if you can identify with, at least to the very least understand, but as much as you can possibly identify with her beliefs and values without sacrificing your own, the more attractive you become to her. And so, Bill, in the situation we're describing, it sounds like you're already doing some of those things really, really well, and I hope that you hang on there and keep doing that. But when it comes to the spiritual values, if there's any way you can relate to those without sacrificing your own, I think that's probably going to be a real key here. Just don't pretend. Don't be fake about it. But you don't sound like the kind of guy who would be anyway. Be real. And now we're going up to the great state of Alaska, and we're talking to JC up there. Hi, JC. How are you today?
Good. Thanks for taking my call, Dr. Beam.
You're very welcome. How may I help you, my friend?
Yeah, so just a quick background. So I'm married for almost 3 years now, and a month ago, my wife decided to separate. She wasn't, when she had left, she said, she didn't like how she was when she's around me. And there was also an issue with trusting me because she felt like I had a problem with lying, which I'm currently seeing a therapist for right now. But anyways, throughout these last 4 weeks, I've just been getting this hot and cold interactions with her where she would talk about, how I'm a great friend to her, and there's a part of her that wants to work on the relationship, but she doesn't want to listen to that part anymore. And anyways, I've been practicing my smart contacts, and I've started in the 10-week course and realized, the walls I've put up and the 4 horsemen, I've committed all of them, which
welcome to the club, my friend.
Yeah, which is why I was pushing her away. But because she doesn't want to process her emotions right now, it feels like we've kind of done this role reversal because she was usually the emotional one and I'm the one that's typically walled off. But ever since the separation, she's got her walls now, and I'm really thinking about my emotions. So my question is, because she doesn't want to process her emotions, and she told me a couple of days ago that she's told her close friends and some of her family about the situation that we're in, that there's that worry in me that those might influence her decision without actually having to process her emotions about us. And her close friends are have a different lifestyle where it's all about single or living together. So there's that.
So if you're asking me, JC, if you should worry about it, you're not. I'm hearing what you're saying. You're not asking me what you should do about it. You're asking me if you should worry about it. Am I hearing that correctly?
Yeah.
Okay. I understand that. I mean, I really, really do. One of the things, for example, if a couple, interacts with us, if they work with our organization, we encourage them. You understand, we don't tell people what to do because we don't have that right, but we certainly encourage them. And we encourage people who are in any kind of marital distress, please don't go to your family for advice. Please don't go to your friends for advice. Because even if they're really good people, wise people, smart people, and I'm sure most of them are, because of the fact that they love you, they'll tend to give you poor advice, because if they think you're being hurt, they're going to say things are going to be negative about the other person or about the situation. So be careful about that. And then it gets even worse. I'm going to take that word off the table right now. It gets even more potentially problematic if indeed people that are really good friends are living a different lifestyle and making that lifestyle appear to be very appealing, so that the person, in this case it would be your wife, well, if her friends are all hanging out doing things that typically single women would do, drinking, hanging out at bars, etc., whatever it might be, and they make that very appealing to her, can that potentially make it more difficult for you guys to put it back together? And the answer is yes. And so if you say, should I worry about it? Let me phrase it this way, if I may. Yeah, it does matter. It will have an effect. It's either going to have a positive effect, a neutral effect, or a negative effect, but it's going to have an effect. But why worry about something you can't control? I mean, if you do that, you're going to be worried all your life. And so one of the things that helps you become stronger is that you deal with the things that you can deal with. You deal with the things that you have some control over. And those are things that have to do with you. For example, if you were to call her up and say, hey, I just talked to this guy on the internet there, and he said you should not be talking to your friends, that's going to come out badly because she's going to hear that as control. Or you need to be careful about talking to your family about what we've got going on. That's going to come across very negatively. It's not going to be good. And so rather than trying to worry too much about, or allowing yourself, I should say, to worry too much about that, and trying to figure out what you're going to do about that or how you control that, I would recommend that you focus more and more on you. So what I heard you say was you've had some problems with lying. That happens with some people, but I heard you say you're getting therapy for that, and I go, great. I'm glad that you're doing that. Wonderful. And keep doing that. Become the best that you can be. And try, my friend, not to worry too much about those things. Try your best not to worry about those things over which you have no control. So the short answer, yeah, they will affect her one way or the other. The long answer is that that's not something that you have anything you can do about. The only thing that you can do things about is becoming the best you can be. And you say, well, then I should just give up. No. The point here is you become the best you can be to the point so much that it negates or overcomes any negative advice she's getting out there. You understand, when Alice and I, we were divorced for 3 years back, a long time ago, and when I asked her if she would come back and marry me a second time, everybody in her world said no. Her family, her friends, religious leaders that she went to talk to, her best friend even said, if you married Joe again, I'll never speak to you again. And so, wow, how do you combat all that, Joe? Well, you can't. You just become the best you can be at your age and situation in life, which is what I was doing then. And you make that, you work on you to the point where you hope that what you have to offer is so much more powerful than those negative things that are happening from other people. And that's how it works. And she married me, and we've been married for a long time, coming up on the 33rd anniversary of the second marriage. So, my friend, work on you. Now let's go all the way over to the United Kingdom across the pond. We're talking to Lloyd. Hi, Lloyd. How's it going over there?
Hello, Lloyd. Dr. Bean, Joe Bean, and thanks for taking my call.
You're very welcome. How may I help you?
Yeah, I'm a bit stuck. I feel as though I'm in no man's land at the moment. Just to give you a bit of background, I've been together with my wife for 18 years. We've been married for the last 9. About a year and a half ago, I found out that she had been in an on and off relationship with another man over a 12-year period. It started just before we moved in together, after we had been going out for 4 years. It then continued for another 5 months whilst we were living together. Then the relationship stopped. She bumped into him 6 years later. By that time, we had been married for about a year and a half. And she started the relationship up again and was meeting him on and off over a 3-year period in hotels and that sort of stuff. We have been doing some counselling work over the last year and a half, and my feeling is that she'd love it if I would just be able to get over it and move on, but I can't. I've been doing the pies, so I've been working on myself. But I'm at a spot now where I feel that the counselling work that we've been doing, if I don't push it, she doesn't get involved.
Right.
And I'm just stuck. I want the marriage to work, but I realise that we both have to work at it. And I just feel as though I'm willing to do more work than she is. She doesn't work. I look after her home, I pay all the bills, what have you. So for her perspective, she's got a comfortable life, but I want more from my marriage. I want more.
So let me make sure. Lloyd, let me make sure I heard something correctly. Is she still living with you, or is she living with the other guy? Where is she?
Yes. Oh, no, she's still living with me.
Okay.
The relationship ended several years ago with this other guy.
Oh, the relationship with the other guy ended years ago?
Yeah.
Okay.
2 years ago,
All right.
yeah.
2 years ago. And does she want to be married to you?
Yes.
Okay. So here's what I'm hearing. You've been very hurt. It was a long-term affair. And it's kind of unusual in the sense that when you first moved in together, she was still seeing the other guy. That's what I heard you say, right?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of unusual, of course. It's like that she couldn't really make up her mind which one, you or him. Now, I don't blame you for the deep pain.
I guess so.
Yeah. I don't blame you for the deep pain that you'd be feeling, that you are feeling because of the fact that this went on for so long and off and on. And now that even though she's there and she wants to be married to you, that she's not making any progress, that you have to push for any counseling to occur. And so you do. You push for that. And she goes, because you push. And I hear what you're saying. You're saying, wow, that hurts me, because if she really wants to help make this marriage better, if she wants us to put this thing together, I shouldn't have to be pushing her to go to counseling. She should want to go on her own. But we talk about this with people a lot of times. Are you going to make the thing that becomes the final straw that breaks the camel's back based on the fact that she doesn't feel the same motivation that you feel? In other words, if she is indeed going to counseling with you, and if she is indeed having any kind of progression from that counseling that's good for the marriage, I understand why you want it to be that she wants to go. I get that. But if it's working, and of course you didn't say if it is or not, but if it's working and is actually making some advantage and actually going in the right direction, then is it really that big a deal right now? I know it is in your emotions, but I'm talking about in the big picture of things. Is it that big a deal that her motivation is not there? If she's doing the right thing, but not for the same motive you want her to have, if that right thing is working, then why would you stop? Because, well, you don't have the motivation I want you to have. That really, if you think about it, it's very counterproductive. If you're getting progress, if you're heading in the right direction, sometimes you just need to be patient. Because if you can make the right progression, if you can get to where you need to go, then at some point along the line, her motivation is going to change. So why let her lack of motivation now keep you from making that progress? Why not look into the future? And now, Lloyd, we've started doing this online program. We just had our first one this past weekend. It's an online version of our 3-day workshop we do for marriages that are in trouble. It's all the very same material. In other words, it's not like if you come to the in-person one, you get more stuff in terms of the things we cover and talk about. We talk about the same things in both versions. And, of course, right now with the virus thing going on and people in quarantine, we have suspended the in-person versions until such time as things change in the world back in the way it used to be, or at least close to the way it used to be. And so, Lloyd, may I recommend, and if it sounds like I'm trying to sell you something, forgive me, because I never want to come across like that. But may I recommend that you contact us at marriagehelper.com, find one of our client representatives if you haven't already talked to one, and see about the possibility of you and your wife attending via the internet, attending our online version of the workshop. Now, right now, I'm personally the one doing all those workshops. And so that way I would get to spend 3 days with you and a few other couples at the same time. Don't misunderstand. It's not individual therapy. It's not like that. Now, you can find that out by going to Marriage Helper. That's marriagehelper.com. There's a toll-free number there, but I'm not sure if it works from England, okay? There are telephone numbers there. There's a way you can email us there, all those kinds of things. But let me go back to my basic point here, my friend. Please don't give up or back off on anything that's working just because of the fact that she doesn't seem to have the right motivation or right emotions at the time. Please don't let that stop you from continuing to get the right things done. And if getting the right things done is going to that counselor or therapist, if he or she's helping you and it's working well, please don't feel put upon. I can't tell you what to feel. Please try not to allow your being hurt that she doesn't have the right motivations. Don't allow that to stop you from doing whatever is working, at least in some degree, to the positive. That would be my recommendation to you, my friend, and I surely hope it works out for you. And so now we're going to go over to Oklahoma and talk to Chantel. Hi, Chantel. How are you today?
I'm I'm good. How are you? Thank you for taking my call.
Rocking and bopping. I'm just trying to avoid the virus like everybody else, my friend.
Yes.
What may I do for you
I
today?
will try. I'll try to explain it as easy as I can. My husband and I have been married for almost 12 years, been friends for 20, and we have 2 children together. And we have been separated for about 5 months now, and he's living at his parents' house, which is actually right next door to us. And he's in his last semester of nursing school, and he got involved with a girl in his class that's half his age, and they've been on and off this whole time, and right now they're off. But he says he still cares about her and worries about her a lot and stuff. But anyways, we've been talking about reconciliation and him possibly coming back home, but he's hung up on some things in the past.
Like what? Like what? What's one thing he's hung up on?
Well, he's had several emotional affairs just online, and he told me that it was because he felt like I didn't give him enough attention, that I always put the children first, or put my or I put my job first. And so
you realize I'm not saying it was your fault. I'm saying he was saying it was your fault.
Yeah. And so so now it was just emotional before, but this relationship with this girl now has been physical. It's been intimate. And I told him that I'm willing to forgive him, or that I have forgiven him. I just want our marriage back. I want to put our family back together. And he has a hard time that he doesn't believe that I had a hard time getting past just the emotional affairs. How am I going to get past something that went far beyond that, like physical? And so he's hung up on that, and then he's hung up on the fact that I felt like he treated me poorly with all the emotional affairs. He's like, why are you trying to save something that destroyed you? And then he thinks that if we do get back together, we'll probably be good for a year or two, and then we'll go back to the same problems. And I'll start.
Do you feel the same way?
No, I don't. I feel completely different. Like, I feel like I can't move past this, but he keeps bringing it up, and so it's starting to make me a little worried. What if I've been putting so much energy?
It's okay to be human. So, have you guys actually agreed that he's going to move back home, or is it still just something you're contemplating?
Something we're just contemplating.
Okay. Is he still involved with the other woman?
They still talk, but he said that they are not. They're broken up, I guess.
And do you believe he's telling you the truth?
Yes, because he was really upset about it. He was talking to me about her.
Good. Oh, by the way, if he can talk to you about her, and you can actually have a conversation where you listen and understand, that makes you really amazing, Chantel. So good for you. Glad to hear that. Okay, let me recommend something that's going to happen, and I'm going to jot your number down and give it to our people. Not this week, but if this is a big if, you would think that, we're all at home and therefore things would go a lot faster in getting things done. Somehow it's just the opposite. But if I can finish the project I'm working on this week and can finish it up, then starting next week, Kimberly Holmes, our CEO, and I are actually going to do a series on reconciliation about, when do you do it? How do you do it? It'll wind up being probably a couple of hours of videos, and there'll be PDFs that go along with it. And even though hopefully we'll get it done next week, that it still have to go through some editing and some other processes. So it's not going to be available immediately, but hopefully it won't be very long at all. Now, what I want to do is I want to give you that. When it's ready, I want to make it a present from me to you. Do you have, by any chance, a client representative here at Marriage Helper that you've ever worked with? If not, that's fine. But
yes, I've been working with Chelsea.
Okay, Chelsea. Tell Chelsea that Dr. Bean said as soon as the new reconciliation course is available, he said he would give it to me. Of course, she'll check with me. They always do. And I'll tell her, yeah, I told Chantel that. And so in that, I can actually, because Kimberly and I will go through an hour and a half to 2 hours of explanations about it, along with the PDF and that kind of stuff for you to have. If you can just hang on for a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, till that comes out, then my recommendation is that you take that, you look at it first, and if you think it's potentially helpful to you, then ask your husband to sit down and look at it and go through it with you. And it will help you overcome these hesitations, these fears that he has that's causing fears within you. Because you see, just going back together doesn't necessarily make things good and can potentially make things worse. The illustration I often use is this. People think that reconciliation is like jumping in the deep end of the pool. We're in here, we're fine, we're swimming again, everything's wonderful. But the problem is, if you jump into the deep end of the pool and you haven't made all the right preparations and you think you know how to swim, but it turns out that you don't, you're in great jeopardy. And so often people think, we'll just move back in together, that'll solve all their problems, and then they wind up splitting up again in even more rancor than they had before. And so we're saying, no, reconciliation is more like wading in from the shallow end of the pool. And sometimes it's 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, 1 step to the left, 4 steps to the right, then another step forward, and another step back. And if you understand that that's the way that process goes, then you don't panic on any given day if things aren't working like you thought they should be working, like you expected them to work. And so for all of you out there, hopefully within the next 3 weeks, if I can get it done, in the next 3 weeks, we'll have that course available. It'll be relatively inexpensive. I have no idea what our CEO will charge for it. But we try to make everything affordable for everybody. And to Chantel, you tell Chelsea that Dr. Bean promised you a free copy of it, and she'll give you that. Okay? The rest of you, because I can't give them all away, we have to have enough to keep our nonprofit operating. Even though we're a 501c3 nonprofit, it takes revenue to open the doors and pay the employees and all those kinds of things. And I'm sure you understand that. Our goal is that anything we provide for you is worth more than you pay for it. That's our goal, and we try to live up that in every shape, fashion, or form. If you're looking for some more videos that will help you with different aspects, go to youtube.com/marriagehelper. There are hundreds of free videos there on so many different subjects. So it's it's youtube.com/marriagehelper. Go to our website. It's marriagehelper.com, or you can call us at our toll-free number that you can find on our website. Our hour is up for today. I look forward to being with you guys again next Monday. Thank you for being part of this program.